Hey everyone, today I wanted to give you guys a quick recap of what's going on in the markets because we do know that the stock market is just looking pretty wild these days. So as far as the NASDAQ is concerned, we did have that breakout and we're typically at this point just waiting for this next breakout here at this Fibonacci extension level, or you can think of it as a horizontal resistance, kind of right around there, the same price point, looking from all the way back over here to 2022 June, extending all the way over here. And that's currently what we're looking at. Now, for now, if we do manage to break out there, I do think we're pretty much cleared to at least 13,000, maybe 200 or so. And really that scale out point, if you guys are going to try to buy this, is really just up here. You can expect it to go maybe up to there, but after that, you're most likely going to see a little bit of a drawback here. The banking crisis seems to still be lingering on the minds of a lot of people here. And I think we had been talking about this at length, how it's still... the banking crisis isn't over, even though the media is saying, everything is safe, everything is sound, people are still going to be afraid, and that still leads us in somewhat of a crisis moment, okay? Now, if you were to take off the Fibonacci extension levels and take off everything else, at this point here, that was the wrong one I just did. There we go. Remove all the drawings. There we go. Excuse me. I would like to say that we have this working for us, and we have this. And at this point, right now, this is almost like a double top. We have one top here, a possible top here. And if you guys are more bearish on the NASDAQ, if we start to fall down next week, it won't happen today. If we start to fall down next week and the week after that, that can actually lead us to a larger move down here where we start getting a little bit more pressure, where we start heading back down here to 11,000. But I still think in order for this to happen, something else has to break. Something else has to lead to some chaos here besides a normal pullback. Because if we go over here and we go over to stuff like Apple, Apple is still breaking out. Nice consistent breakout. You could even think of Apple as being a version of NVIDIA or AMD that hasn't broken out to the same effect yet. But that's, again, because people feel that Apple is the safer play, which is why it never went down like Tesla or Microsoft or Facebook, none of that type of stuff. So you might actually see Apple here in the short term, again, if before we have a little bit of a downward move, kind of go around at 164 or something's close to that. I'm still thinking I could see us still breaking down. Like when Apple breaks down, I think the NASDAQ would be breaking down around the same day here. But Apple just got itself a golden cross. I would expect it to at least try to pop up one more time. You guys can see on the 4-hour chart here, it's actually tried a few times, but each time it's been getting knocked back down, unfortunately. So if you guys are in more of the bullish camp here, you really need to see us like close above this on the daily, then make that surge up to 164 here. I would do day trades on this primarily because you can see right here we have a nice little level of support. I would try to trade this breakout like right here. Right now, there's a current breakout happening, or no, not yet. If we can have a breakout here, maybe on Monday, that might be the opportunity for you to take it right there. I would also look for a some type of crossover on a MACD, maybe the impulse MACD that I've showed you guys before. If you guys can find that going the right way with momentum, when the momentum is strong, it's going to be much easier to break out there. So as far as everything else, though, you notice how I talked about NVIDIA and AMD. Look at Apple. You can see Apple's kind of like right here relative to the AMDs and the NVIDIAs right here, right? Pretty crazy moves that we've seen off of these. I'm not going to be buying any of these. In fact, I'm overall still pretty bearish on the economy. And so what I'm thinking of doing is actually buying some shorts on this in the over the next few weeks, whenever we start to break down here a little bit more. At currently, if I can put my rectangle tool, there we go. Kind of right here in this level of resistance from the peaks we saw in February of 2022 and the peak we saw over here in March of 2022. I think right around there, this is a good opportunity to start scaling out. And I'm looking for an opportunity here to sell or short. I would most likely say just buy options. But, again, I think the drop we're looking for, it's probably going to happen next week or the week afterwards. I think we're going to have a considerable pullback on a lot of different asset classes out there, especially if the economy keeps on getting a little bit worse, a little bit worse. And on top of that, you guys have been seeing what's been going on in France. That is going to affect the markets the longer this goes on. And I think there is a national day of striking, I think on Tuesday in France. So it's quite interesting. I'm curious to see how the bank's going to really hold up against all this type of turmoil happening all at once, plus some war stuff in Syria, an American contractor being killed and stuff like that. Now, as far as the metas and stuff like that, Meta is also breaking out here. Now, this is a different story. I would be very, very careful if you guys are trying to trade this right now. This is because Meta has been heavily lobbying Congress to get rid of TikTok. And that's been pushing their stock up because everybody somehow believes that if TikTok is banned, people are going to flood to Facebook. As somebody who loves TikTok, even though, they have all my data, I would expect all these users to actually go over to YouTube Shorts or go to another app that nobody's heard of. There's a few of them out right now, and that's what I would say. This is going to be a huge short, I would say, over the next few weeks. But you guys can see there are some more levels of resistance ahead of us. I don't think we make it up to 225, but if we do, that'd be a hard option buying opportunity. I would double check the option flow data just to make sure you're not alone there and kind of join some hedge funds for safety. But when it comes to Facebook, it does drop pretty fast and does go up pretty fast. So you're usually okay going a little bit further out of the money, and it's not going to cost as much for those options. One other thing here I wanted to talk to you guys about is energy, because energy is all over the place. ZOM is usually the standard thing you guys can be looking for. And you guys can see right here, bouncing off of it a little bit, trying to, because again, we're going off of oil prices now, not necessarily technicals, but you're seeing that bearishness start to creep back in. You're seeing those death crosses start to creep back in. And luckily for us, at least for now, the 200 is starting to moderate, but it still looks like, though, we're going to look at a death cross here. And so if we don't see any fundamental news coming out of the OPEC or Russia or Europe or America about oil production, I do think eventually you are going to see us start dipping back down here to 96 bucks. And I would like that opportunity to to do some puts from there. Go over here to the 4-hour chart. There we go. There we go. Just watch for some of these potential breakouts if you guys want to do some day trading. But besides that, find those hard floors and then do short-term day trades on it until then. Be careful if you guys want to go out a little bit longer than that. The last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about here is actually back on this one. It's just to remind you where the Dow Jones is. Here's the Dow Jones right there. Dow Jones looks like it's going to have a death cross here over the next few weeks, everybody. We did have a change of character here. You guys can clearly see that level of resistance we've been dealing with over the past few weeks. But again, level of support, we broke down below that handily. We got rejected off of it 2 days ago. That was Wednesday off of this rate hikes. And so right now we are still in a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows. So again, I would expect this to continue until it doesn't, frankly. I think people are starting to really worry about how these rate hikes are going to affect the economy. As far as the Dow Jones right now, I think if we decide to break down below this 31,683 level, I think that's where you start to feel a little bit more pain and more fear in the overall market. And I think you guys may be able to use that to your advantage if you guys are looking for some put opportunities. Now, as far as the SPY looks a lot more bearish. I would say the only thing that looks bullish is the NASDAQ, right? Still up here, trying to break out, trying to do some good. It is at the level of resistance, but it's at that level of resistance. SPY isn't up there, and the Dow Jones certainly is not up there, okay? So as we kind of watch this play out, you're going to see a death cross happen next week, and you're probably going to see another death cross between the 50 and the 200 happen a week after that. And, depending on which levels of support you're looking at, let me just add some lines here just for general sake. There we go. Maybe you're looking at some of these lines over here, right? But, oops, daisy guys, we are, with all the news going on, we should be down more, but you can see we're still having the lower highs and the lower lows. That is still panning out. Keep an eye out for any surprise news that may come out next week that may give you a short-term pop, and that short-term pop may run us up against the 50-day moving average there. If we were to break out above that 50-day moving average, everybody, a short day trade on the SPY would love to take you right up here to 407. At this point, though, again, 15 minutes usually works out pretty well. We're having these pretty crazy spikes through the middle of the day, and then we just seem to come back down here. But again, watch for these support levels. That next support level, it's really below the breakdown part, isn't it? You might be looking to buy around 381 if we actually do manage to come here. At this point, though, I'm looking, maybe a 30-minute chart may represent this a little bit more. Oh, not terrible right now. Not terrible. We're just making some lower highs and lower lows. Not as dramatic, I would say, as the Dow Jones at this point in time, but you are looking at those levels of resistance here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys have any questions on any particular stocks, and I'll make sure to do a little short video for you guys. Thanks.